Okay, so hello everyone. Welcome to the final research round of the Bose Olympiad 2022-23. Uh, I see the participants are already here. We will be starting with the first presenter. So before you start, let me just make you aware that the participants of this round are supposed to present original work. At least it should not be just another mathematical idea that is in Wikipedia or somewhere else. It should reflect some original thinking and some questions that you try to solve. It's not necessary that you are able to solve it, because certain times research problems can be really hard, but we can all expect to give it a good try. So let's start with who is ready. Akshita, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay, you can share your screen and show us what you have.
Yeah,
Remember,
thank you,
your
sir.
time limit is 7 to 10 minutes. Okay, so
Okay,
you
sir.
can finish up between that. Okay, we can see your presentation. You can click on the present button to put it in the presentation mode.
Yes, sir. I just did. I need to reshare that. Yeah.
Okay, so Akshita, why don't you introduce yourself? You are in which class right now and what you will be presenting?
Okay, sir. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Akshita Kashyap. I'm a student of grade 4 from St. Mary's Christian School, Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh. I'm proud to be the student of Chinta, where I'm able to excel in the field of mathematical science. So basically, when I was just busy exploring the amazing world of mathematics, I came across a very new term for me, which was golden ratio. Now, the first time when I heard this thing, I thought something related to gold, something related to a really unique and a really precious uh, gem kind of thing. So the first that came to my mind that it might be the Canada's gold giant Elizabeth coin, which weighs about 220 pounds. But after that, when I just researched on this topic, I came to know that every time those gems and those everything are not so precious. Our mathematics has a very different kind of beauty, which can be expressed with small lettered words also. So today, I would like to talk about golden ratio. So here we are going to discuss about what is golden ratio and where do we use golden ratio? Is golden ratio present in our body parts like ears, nose? And are there two ways to use golden ratio? And is golden ratio important? So before that, I would like to just want to take a peek into the past, which is that we know all these famous paintings, these monuments, all those pyramids, Taj Mahal, and most common painting, Mona Lisa. Here we know that these were built, uh, like the monument Taj Mahal was built many years ago. That time, technology was not so developed. But still, this particular ratio which we have, that is known as golden ratio, was present in Taj Mahal. The pillars, the monument was built in such a way that the golden ratio was present in it. So if we take a look at the painting Mona Lisa, which was made by Da Vinci, it also has golden ratio. So from here I can prove one thing, that we can see that our human body has golden ratio. But exactly, now let's come to the point that what is golden ratio. So golden ratio is actually dependent on the Fibonacci series. If we talk about the Fibonacci series, it starts from the term 0 or 1. And each number is the sum of its two preceding number. Like we can see here, 1, 2, 1 plus 2, 3, 2 plus 3, 5, 3 plus 5, 8, 5 plus 8, 13, and so on till infinity. And the special thing about golden ratio is that if we divide each number by its preceding number, the answer will be around 1.6. But the special thing is that this particular value, 1.618, this is called the golden ratio. So let's take a look. So here I am having an information center, and we are having Tyra, where she has given us three different slides to understand this in a better way. So let's take a look at the equation slide. So we know that while we write fraction, the denominator, which here is represented by b, is basically the whole number part, the whole part. And the numerator represents the number of parts of that whole. So A has to be a part and the B has to be that whole particular thing. So we will take line. So if a line is basically divided into two parts, if that part is added with the whole number here, the denominator, and then divided with the number of parts, which is A, we get the value as 1.618, which is denoted as this symbol, known as V. Now we are going to talk about that how can we get golden ratio in things like which are divided into three parts. So we know for that case, we need to group one part with another. So like here we have our fingers. So B value is 55 and A value is 34. Now if I will do that, so 34 plus 55 is equal to 89. And 89 by 55 is equal to 1.618. So let us learn about how to make a grid of golden ratio. So for that, we need to convert the Fibonacci pattern values into the grid formed by them. So if we have, like, we know that the series in such a way, it is like 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So the same way we will make grid. That 1 multiplied by 1 grid, 2 multiplied by 2 grid, 3 multiplied by 3 grid, in that way. And here is the output which we will get. So we will try to create that first of all by ourselves. So, sir, can I share another screen of GeoGebra?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. So here we will first try to make a square, 1 into 1 square.
I don't think we can see your screen actually, Akshita. It's showing a black screen.
So let me try once again. I will refresh the page. So I think that there might be some error that after refreshing also GeoGebra screen is not visible here.
That's fine. You have 2 more minutes. You can try to finish it up.
Okay, sir. So for that, as we know that here we have the grid. So when we will take a look at the grid over here, Is my screen visible?
It's not becoming visible actually.
Hmm. So now is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible now.
So here as we have. So what we can try to do is that we can create that spiral pattern. So first we will start from this common point that is on the left side where these two one into one square meet.
Okay.
Uh, in a way, it is like here I'm not able to draw it so properly, but it has to go in a spiral kind of a pattern,
Okay.
and that spiral pattern is basically that the golden ratio which we get. So this pattern cannot stay till here, it can extend till infinity.
So that's very nice.
So
Akshita, I'll have to ask you to stop, but I'll ask you a couple of questions on this presentation. So, uh, what was the problem that you tried to solve in this presentation?
I tried to solve the problem that first of all that we need to know some a little bit of extraordinary things related to the subject in which we are having a bit of interest, because just making our passionate interest into if we will suppress that, so I don't think so it is better. So for that, in this way what I did, that I tried to um, find out the golden ratio in those day to day life using applications, and like in our face, in pens, and many more, in books also. And I just came across many various things.
Okay, very nice, very nice. And I saw the GeoGebra presentation that you did. That's also very really nice. I'm seeing some. The presentation also took some work, so that's very good. We should remember that Akshita is in grade 4 right now. She is really a little kid, so she's very enthusiastic about mathematics. Very well done, Akshita. Okay, let's move on to Shorodip now. Shorodip, can you present what you want to
Yes,
present? And others, please keep your videos on because that would allow for eye contact with the presenter, and it's very important that we have that. Nijer, Arav, and others, make sure your video is on. Ashu, Talwar. If your video is not on, then let's not present.
sir, is my screen visible?
Yes, your screen is very much visible. You can
Okay,
put it in the. Yeah. Okay. Now I
okay,
can. It's very nice. Introduce yourself.
okay. So, I am Shorodip Dash from class 10. I live in Kolkata, West Bengal. Uh, I am having my pre-boards right now, so I'm not getting time to do much mathematics, but still I'm enthusiastic about it.
Okay.
Yes. So, uh, my topic is something different. So, I, how I came up with this, let me introduce to this to about it. So, I was one day I was just doing long division. Long division as if I was dividing a number by another number. Both are positive integers. So I was like doing 4 by 3, suppose. Now, after doing this, something simple as this. So I was getting something interesting in the decimal representation. So if I take a specific denominator, let's say I took 3, and if I divide this For now, I'm considering only rational numbers in the p by q form. So I'm not taking irrational numbers. So if I take a specific denominator like 3 and divide it with a number by some number, suppose it's 4, I am dividing 4 by 3, then the uh, answer in decimal form will be like 1.3333 and so on in recurring terms. It will never end. More interesting thing is that if I take the denominator as 3, then the decimal representation can only be either in the form 33333, like recurring of 3's, or recurring of 6, but it will never come in any other way. Now, if I take some different denominator, how will the specific strings of numbers that I am getting after the decimal representation vary? I was This is my main topic, and I also took the case of irrationals. And irrationals, there is some unsolved problems too when it comes with the irrational numbers. So I will move to them one by one. Firstly, the main rules, I was as they were mentioned in the last slide, like the four claims. These are pretty known claims. The first one is that all rational numbers in p by q form, either their decimal representation should end after some point, or they will never end, but the numbers will start repeating. If the denominator contains only factors of 2 and 5, then it will end. If it does not, then it will repeat. And all irrational numbers will give non-recurring decimals, or otherwise the decimal representation will never end and also not repeat, and so on. The 3 and 4 uh, states the same thing in another way. The proofs of these are pretty well known. Not well known, but they are done. As a hint, I have stated that you can start proving fact 1 and fact 3, and after doing that, 1 will immediately imply 4, because 1 and 4 are contrapositive statements in the field of logic. Contrapositive statements mean that if P implies Q, then the negation of Q will imply the negation of P. So proving 1 will immediately prove 4, and proving 3 will immediately prove 2. With this, I go back to my topic. Now, as I was saying that uh, if I take a specific denominator, how will the strings of various numbers after the decimal representation of that particular rational number vary? So I took one example problem like this. For example, what rational numbers contain the string 74 in its decimal representation? So what I'm taking is that I know that the rational number in its decimal form will have these two digits 7 and 4 together in some point of time. Maybe the rational number is uh, never ending, but recurring, or maybe it is ending, but it must contain 7 and 4 somewhere together. So
So you
this
want
is a one.
to, so you want to describe all uh, you want to describe all rational numbers which
Yes,
have
all rational numbers which have 7 4 somewhere together.
and maybe they are recurring, maybe they are not.
Yes, but it the digits 7 and 4 must come at least once
Okay, okay.
together. So this number is an example. So it contains 7 and 4, and it will recur with 7 and 4 many times. So the fractional form is 137 by 999000. Now, obviously, there are infinitely many such decimals. Infinitely very there are many ways to gain numbers like this, which are containing 7 and 4. Like I can take 0.74, and I can do 0.741 or 742, and I can do this infinitely with infinitely many rational numbers. So there are infinitely many numbers. That is okay. After that, I now I went to check for specific integers m and n for which m by n. So I'm doing the rational number m by n instead of p by q. So for which positive integers m by m and n, that these the decimal representation of m by n will contain the string 74.
Okay.
And then then I asked, is there a maximum value of n or 8, or is there a minimum value of n or 8? The maximum value uh, question, it, it is very easy to disprove that there is no maximum value, because if I take m by n, suppose there is a maximum m, then if I just add 1 to m, that m by n, then it will just become the numerator will become m plus n, which is greater than m, but also satisfying the string, because the string will not change, only the decimal representation will never change if I add 1 to it, or if I continue adding 1, only that the fraction will become improper. The digits to the left of decimal representation will change. So there is no maximum n. And similarly, if I take for maximum n, then if I continuously divide by 10 the fraction, then only the decimal point will shift one side to the left, and the string will never change. So again, there is no maximum n, because I can continuously increase n and still keep the string same. Now, now by Weyl ordering principle is a very famous statement which says that for every non-empty subset of positive integers, uh, the, there must be a least element, which which means that by directly by Weyl ordering principle, minimum values of m and n must exist. Now after this work, I worked on this problem, and I actually found a way to find the minimum value of n for any string if I search for it. So without loss of generality, by that I mean to say that uh, I'm assuming something which will not change the state problem. So I'm taking m less than n. So if m is more than n, then it will not matter to us, because the string will not change. Only the fraction is becoming improper.
Okay.
So
Sorry. We're almost out of time. I have to ask you some
yes,
questions on this. So this
yes,
is so you found an algorithm that works.
yes, I have found it.
Okay.
And I wanted to say one thing, that uh, this actually came as a problem. I searched on it in Google. So it came as AMC, AIME in 2003, problem 14. Exactly the same thing which they have asked uh, for a specific value of n. But what I find interesting is that I do not know a way to find the smallest possible value of m, the numerator. And it may happen that it is possible that m is always 1. There maybe it is possible that there always exists a unit fraction which contains the string I want.
So there is an open end to this question.
Yes,
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. Thank you, Shorodip. That was indeed a nice presentation. Excellent work. This is
thank you.
exactly what I am talking about. When you are presenting something, it should be new work. Okay, let's go to Arnav Nigam.
Yes.
So, Arnav, you introduce yourself and then start.
Hello, sir. My name is Arnav Nigam, and I'm a student of grade 10 from Vibgyor Malad, East Mumbai. And I have prepared my presentation on the topic of optimization in operations research. So, I have looked about in the aspects of optimization and operations research as the fields, and I've researched about two major problems which are seen in these two fields. The one, first of them is a basic problem, and the second one is the one I tried to solve myself, and I came up with my solution. So, firstly, what is operations research? Operations research can be described in brief as a process or a field in which we uh, try to make a decision with given constraints on the input variables and analyze them to gain insight about the possible solutions and the most effective or the most efficient process. Thus, optimization, it's a sub part of operations research. In optimization problem, it consists of maximizing or minimizing a real function by systematically choosing input values from within an allowed set and computing the value of the function. So for our optimization models, we also call them as mathematical programs. They represent problem choices as decision variables and seek values that maximize or minimize the objective functions of decision values subject to constraints on the input values. So this shows that when we have an information and to gain optimization, we have to go through these four steps: descriptive analytics, diagnostic analytics, predictive analytics, and prescriptive analytics. So if you want to describe an optimization problems in brief, so they are basically a given function from a set A to a set of real numbers, and we need to find an element x naught such that either f of x naught is less than equal to f of x always, or f of x naught is greater than equal to f of x. This is known as minimization, and when we have a constraint of greater than or equal to, it's known as maximization. But fortunately, we not have to do them separately. If we have a function of the maximization form, it can be converted into minimization by taking negative on both sides. So it suffices only to solve the minimization problems, and the same can be done if we take negative on the minimization. We can only solve maximization to get answers for the minimization ones. So this is the simplest case of optimization in operation research. It is known as the Mortimer Middleman problem. So this is a case study wherein Mortimer Middleman is a diamond merchant. uh, the wholesale prices of diamonds are $700 per carat, but he has to buy at least 100 carats on each trip. Mortimer and his staff resell the diamonds to jewelers at a profit of 200 per carat, and each trip to the market requires 1 week. And this includes time for Mortimer to get ready and costs approximately $2,000 per trip. Over the past year, the customers have come in order an average of 55 carats per week. So this is the order value for the past year per week. Then hundreds of carats of diamonds on hand during some weeks add to his insurance costs and tie up the capital that he could otherwise invest. So he has estimated that these holding costs 0.5% of the wholesale value per week. That's 3.5 dollars per carat per week. And using this, he has got some values of his profits and sales. We need to look if it is the optimum value or we can do better. So firstly, we define our input values. Q is the reorder quantity purchased on each replenishment trip, and it's given that he should buy at least 100 carats on each trip. So we have a constraint 1, Q is greater than or equal to 100. And the second is a reorder point signaling the need for replenishment, and that has to be greater than or equal to 0, which is the second condition we have. We can define the objective function C of Q and R, which is the total cost using a reorder quantity of Q and reorder point R. So we need to minimize C of Q and R to get the most efficient amount of Q and R that he must buy. So we take one assumption here that the rate of demand is constant, and it's given in the problem as 55 carats per week. Moving on, it's given that 55 carats per week has been the order value in the past year per week. So the order value per week should always be greater than or equal to 55. Otherwise, you will not be able to meet the customer requirements. And thus, solving further in terms of C, we can find the value of the function using the average values, R minus 55 being the in lower point of inventory ranges, and the higher point being R minus 55 plus Q. So the average of them gives R minus 55 plus Q by 2. And using the other constants given in the problem, we obtain this expression for C, which is subject to the constraints Q greater than or equal to 100 and R greater than or equal to 55. Thus, when we further solve this expression mathematically, we obtain a minimum value of Q as 250.7 This value is greater than or equal to 100, so the constraint is satisfied, which tells us that this is an optimal and valid solution. When we sketch the plot of the function, we obtain a graph of this type. So at this point, we obtain the minimum value at q equal to 250.7. So this is the optimum amount of reserves he must keep in his warehouse. So this is a generalization of the Mortimer Middleman problem, which can be easily taken in terms of variables, and we get these two results finally. Next is the two crude petroleum case study, which I tried to solve on myself. And this is a more complex case of the Mortimer Middleman problem, wherein two crude petroleum, this is the name of a company, let's call it TCP for now. It orders crudes from two different companies. So like if it's a Saudi crude, it yields zero point 0.3 barrel of gasoline, zero point 0.4 barrels of jet fuel, and zero point 0.2 barrels of lubricants. On the other hand, if we have Venezuelan crude, it yields zero point 0.4 barrels of gasoline, zero point 0.2 barrels of jet fuel, and zero point 0.3 barrels of lubricants. The remaining 10%, as we can see, all of them add up to 0.9. And the remaining 10% is given to be lost in refining. So it's also given that TCP can purchase up to 9,000 barrels per day from Saudi Arabia at $100 per barrel, and 6,000 barrels per day of Venezuelan petroleum, which is at a lower cost of $75 per barrel because of shorter transportation distance. Now the supply quantity is given to us as 2,000 barrels per day of gasoline, 1,500 barrels per day of jet fuel, and 500 barrels per day of lubricants. So to find the most efficient process, we need to find the amount of Saudi and Venezuelan crude oil which we should buy each day. So let's define X1 as the barrels of Saudi crude refined per day in thousands, and X2 as the barrels of Venezuelan crude per day in thousands. So we have the initial condition X1 and X2 have to be greater than or equal to 0. Further, the total output of the product is equal to the summation of the yield per barrel multiplied by the barrels purchased, and that has to be greater than the product requirements or the sales of the TCP company. Thus, we obtain these relations where the zero point 0.3, zero point 0.4, and the other constants are the ones given in the problem. So the total quantity of gasoline should be greater than or equal to the required amount, and same for the other fuels as well. We're also given that it can purchase up to only 9,000 barrels of Saudi Arabian crude oil. Thus, X1 is less than or equal to 9 and X2 is less than or equal to 6. So these are the modified conditions on X1 and X2. So this describes the problem statement in short. We have to minimize the function 100x1 plus 75x2 subject to the following conditions. So firstly, we see x1 comma x2 greater than or equal to 0 gives us the constraint of the first quadrant.
So I have a question. Where did you get this question?
So I had taken this problem from a standard book of optimization.
Okay. Okay.
Moving on, we have the first constraint which says 0.3x1 plus 0.4x2 is greater than or equal to 2. When we plot this linear graph, we obtain this equation of line, and for greater than or equal to condition, we get the area above this line. Further solving for the other conditions given to us, all these 5 conditions, this gives us the remaining area of plot as this shaded region. So this is the 2D plot of x1 comma x2, which represents the valid inputs that can be taken. Now moving on, when we plot 100x1 plus 75x2 on a 3D plane at on the z-axis, we can say, that gives us another plane of this form. And now the values 100, 200, 300, and so on are slant on this one. Now we project this plane onto the xy plane, which gives us something of this sort. So this was our original x1 comma x2 2D plane, and on projecting the 100x1 plus 75x2 graph on this, we obtain the like if we consider this one, this is the set of values which give us the value of the function as 200. This is the set of values which gives us the values 100 and so on. So the optimal point where all these valid inputs are satisfied is this. at this point, we can find the value of 100x1 plus 75x2, which lies on this line. So this is how we can solve this problem, and it is one of the most used problems in operations research, which is a separate field in many departments. So applications of mathematical optimization are many. They include medicines, manufacturing, GPS, airline reservation systems, transportation, supply chain, finance, government,
Okay,
physics, economics, and artificial intelligence.
that's great. That's great. Let me ask you a couple of questions, Arnav. So,
Yes.
I see that this is an exercise problem available in different websites as well, like
Hmm.
Chegg and all.
Okay.
So, I was wondering that how can this be regarded as a research problem? Because, for
So
example,
actually, I was trying to search for different methods of this problem, and the method which I presented was the one I came up with, and that was also similar to a method given somewhere online. And like, I actually thought this was an interesting thing, which is because operation research is in itself a R&D department in many in like industrial or departmental things.
yeah, it's a interesting subject, of course. All right,
Yeah.
Arnav, thank you, thank you. If you have to go, please, you may leave. Thank
Okay, sir.
you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, let me go to Ashu Talwar. Ashu, go ahead.
Uh, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
I'll share my screen. 1 second. Just- Is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah, it's coming.
Yeah, so I'll start now. So my name is Kanav Talwar and I'm in grade 9 and I study in DPS Faridabad.
Okay. Grade 9.
So today I will, yes, I'm in grade 9.
Okay.
So today I will talk about a generalized version of chromatic rectangles. So first of all, a chromatic rectangle is a rectangle whose vertices have the same color. Now, these are two problems which can be solved with a sufficient condition for a chromatic rectangle in an n cross m grid. Now, this paper extends this result to derive a sufficient condition for the existence of chromatic rectangles in subgrids of a two-colored grid.
Okay.
So now let's find the sufficient condition. Now, in an m cross n rectangle, we define Cij as the grid formed by intersection of any I columns and j rows out of the m rows and n columns. So we will find a condition for the existence of a monochromatic Cij in an n cross n grid, where we are coloring the cells of the m cross n grid. Now let capital N denote the number of squares colored by the same color, call it red. And let Ck denote the number of red colored squares in column K. Note that summation Ck is equal to n. And summation Ck choose j denotes the j size tuples of red squares in the same column. And m choose j denotes the j size tuples of rows. So if we have summation Ck choose j is greater than I minus 1 times m choose j, then by PHP, at least I of these j size tuples of red squares fall in the same j size tuple of m rows. Sorry, the j size tuples of rows. This guarantees the existence of a Cij. That is, in some j rows, we will have I columns of the same color. So now we find the value of some minimum value of summation Ck choose j, subject to the condition summation Ck is equal to 1. Now first we make a claim that A choose k plus B choose k is equal to A minus 1 choose k plus B plus 1 choose k plus A minus 1 choose k minus 1 minus B choose k minus 1. For the proof of this, note that by Pascal's identity, we have A minus 1 choose k minus 1 plus A minus 1 choose k is equal to A choose k, and B choose k minus 1 plus B choose k
is equal to b plus 1 choose k. Now adding the above equations, we get a choose k plus b choose k plus b choose k minus 1 is equal to b plus 1 choose k plus a minus 1 choose k plus a minus 1 choose k minus 1. Rearranging, we get the desired result. That is a choose k plus b choose k is equal to a minus 1 choose k plus b plus 1 choose k plus a minus 1 choose k minus 1 minus b choose k minus 1. Proving our claim. And if a is greater than b plus 1, then obviously a minus 1 is greater than b. And by our claim, we have a choose k plus b choose k is equal to a minus 1 choose k plus b plus 1 choose k plus a minus 1 choose k minus 1 minus b choose k minus 1, which is strictly greater than a minus 1 choose k plus b plus 1 choose k. Just because the quantity a minus 1 choose k minus 1 is greater than b choose k minus 1, as a is greater than b, a minus 1 is greater than b. Hence, if we have any two values a and b whose difference is at least 2, then we can replace a by a minus 1 and b by b plus 1, decreasing the quantity a choose k plus b choose k. Hence, to minimize summation ck choose j, we need ck as close as possible. That is, no two ci and cj must have a difference of at least 2. That is, the difference between any two ck's must be at most 1. Now, by some trivial algebra, we can get that r of the ck should be q plus 1 and the remaining n minus r should be q, where capital N is equal to nq plus r. We call that capital N was the number of red colored squares totally in the grid, and small n was the number of columns. And so q is the quotient when we are dividing capital N by small n, and r is the remainder. So to minimize summation ck choose j, subject to the condition summation ck is equal to capital N, we must have that r of the ck should be q plus 1 and the remaining n minus r should be q. Hence summation ck choose j is at least r times q plus 1 choose j plus n minus r times q choose j. Now we can do the exact same thing for rows. Note that we define ck to be the number of red squares in the column, and we can do the exact same thing for rows by taking ak as the number of red squares in the kth row, and if summation ak choose I is greater than j minus 1 times n choose I, then by the same reasoning on above, we have a monochromatic Cij. And again, by using our claim and the exact reasoning to determine the minimum value of summation ck choose j, we have that summation ak choose I is greater than equal to r1 times q1 plus 1 choose I plus m minus r1 times q1 choose I, where r1 and q1 are the remainder when we are dividing capital N by n. So combining the results that we derived earlier into a major theorem. So let at least n squares of an m cross n rectangle be colored with the same color, where capital N is equal to nq plus r, which is equal to mq1 plus r1, where r is the remainder when capital N is divided by small n, and r1 is the remainder when capital N is divided by m. If we have r times q plus 1 choose j plus n minus r times q choose j is strictly greater than I minus 1 times m choose j, or r1 times q1 plus 1 choose I plus m minus r1 times q1 choose I is strictly greater than j minus 1 times n choose I, then a monochromatic Cij exists in the m cross n rectangle.
So,
So this is the main
Arnav,
theorem.
what I'm thinking is that can you, okay, I think you're going to illustrate it. Yeah, go ahead. Can you,
Yeah,
can you, can you,
yeah,
can you illustrate the main idea of proof? Because the equations are not very understandable. I mean,
yeah. The main idea,
yeah. What is the main idea? So there is a,
the main idea,
so let's understand the problem first. The problem is that there is a grid, right? And two colored grid. Is that correct?
any color. We can color to any number of colors.
Oh, you can have any number of colors to the grid. Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
we're just assuming n is the number of squares with the same color.
N, capital N, is that capital N? Okay.
Yes, capital N is the number of squares with the same color.
Capital N is the number of squares with the same color. Okay. So you have fixed one color after out of the many colors.
Yeah, the color that occurs most, or say anything we can choose. Yes.
Okay, okay. So the most occurring color, let's say, is n times occurring. Now, what do we want to show? I mean, what are we after? We after the a
We want to find
condition
the
for a monochromatic rectangle.
existence of monochromatic, like Cij, which is the intersection of I columns and J rows, like I columns and J rows.
Okay, so all the colors in the I columns and J rows, that grid, all of them have to be of the same color that has n number of occurrences. Okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
okay, I see.
Like for example, a chromatic rectangle is just C 2 comma 2. That is two rows intersecting two columns.
Right.
We generalize it to for any I columns intersecting any J rows.
I columns intersecting any J rows. So, and what is the condition?
The condition is this theorem that we derive at the end.
That n squares.
That is if cap
Okay, it's a condition on nq plus r. Okay, the quotient n minus r q plus q choose j. I see. Okay. Okay, and can you give me the big idea of the proof?
the major idea of the proof is this part. One second. This part. That is, if Ck is the number of red squares in column K, then summation Ck choose J denotes the J size tuples of red squares in the same column, and M choose J denotes the J size tuples of rows. So if we have summation Ck choose J is strictly greater than I minus 1 times M choose J, then by pigeonhole principle, at least I of these J size tuples of red squares must lie in the same J size tuples of rows.
I see.
So we have I J size tuples of red squares in different columns lying the same J tuples of rows.
Okay.
So in some J rows, there will be I columns of the same color, guaranteeing the existence of a monochromatic Cij.
Okay.
And then we find the minimum value of summation Ck choose J, subject to the condition, subject summation Ck is equal to 1.
Okay. Okay, very nice. You already submitted the paper. We will definitely look closely to it. Okay. I mean, we already did, but uh, now I understand it a little bit better. Okay. All right. Thank you, Kanav. Thank you for your presentation. Let me go to Siddharth Kumar
Thank
Gopal. Yeah.
Hi sir, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes, sir. So I'll share my screen now. Sir.
Now, those of you who are already done, you may leave if you want.
Sir, can you see it, sir?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sir. So, good evening, everyone. My project topic is flood resilience of communities, modeling and quantification using a Bayesian belief network for districts in Kerala.
Okay, can you introduce yourself a little bit?
Yes, sir. I'm Siddharth Kumar Gopal, studying in class 9 in St. Thomas Residential School.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
can I get
Yeah, please continue. Can you go into the presentation mode?
So it's in the presentation mode, right?
Actually, we see the normal thing.
So just a minute, I'll just stop and start once more. So how about now?
Yeah, now I can see it.
Yes, sir. So today I will be speaking about the problem statement, explain resilience and its components, and briefly talk about Bayes' theorem and Bayesian belief networks. I will then speak about the Bayesian model that I have developed for the problem, the parameters that I have chosen, and the data sources and the calculation of conditional probabilities, which is still a work in progress. Kerala was ravaged by floods in 2018, and being a coastal state, the risk of flooding is high due to adverse climate events. The first step towards building more robust living conditions is to measure the current flood reliance and then find ways to improve it. Community flood reliance can be defined as the ability of a community to pursue its development and growth objectives while managing its flood risk over time in a mutually reinforcing way. Flood reliance, resilience of communities shall be measured by robustness, rapidity, resourcefulness, and redundancy in the human capital, social infrastructure, physical infrastructure, and economic dimensions. Resilience is the capacity of a system to resist any hazard and revive to a desirable performance. Resilience has two main components: reliability, which means how well can you rely on the system to continue performing even after a disaster, and recovery, which means how fast you can get back to normal. Reliability consists of robustness and redundancy. Robustness is the sustainability of a system against the effects of the disaster. Redundancy is the duplication of any critical components or function of a system that are intended to increase its reliability. The next component is recovery, which consists of rapidity and resourcefulness. Rapidity is the length of time required to return to its desired position after the occurrence of the hazard. Resourcefulness is the ability of resources for recovery. Conditional probability is a measure of the probability of an event occurring, given that another event has already occurred. It is shown as probability of x given y. Conditional probability is the probability when some other random variable is given. It is shown by the first equation. If these two random variables are dependent, then probability of x given y is probability of x and y divided by probability of y. If they are independent, then probability of x given y is probability of x. The Bayes theorem. It calculates the probability of an event based on prior knowledge of conditions related to the event that have already occurred. It is the conditional probability of event A given event B has already occurred. Bayes' theorem states that the conditional probability of an event A given the occurrence of another event B is equal to the product of the likelihood of B given A and the probability of A. It is given as P of A given B equals P of B given A multiplied by P of A divided by P of B. Here, P of A is how likely A happens, which is prior knowledge, which is the probability of the hypothesis is true before any evidence is present. And P of B is how likely B happens, or marginalization, the probability of observing the evidence. P of A given B is how likely A happens given that B has happened, or posterior. The probability of a hypothesis is true given the evidence. And P of B given A is how likely B happens given that A has happened. Likelihood, the probability of seeing the evidence if the hypothesis is true. Bayes' theorem provides a method for revising initial or prior probability estimates for specific events of interest taking into account about the specific events from sources such as a sample, a special report, or a product test, used in medicine, engineering, finance, etc. Bayesian belief network, a natural generalization of Bayes' theorem to multiple events that depend on each other. Bayesian belief networks are a convenient mathematical way of representing probabilistic and often casual dependencies between multiple events or random processes. It is a it's a probabilistic graphical model which represents a set of variables and their conditional dependencies using a directed acyclic graph. It consists of nodes connected with arrows. Each node represents a set of mutually exclusive events which cover all possibilities for the nodes. The arrows between them represent the conditional probabilities between them. Nodes send probabilistic information to their parents and children according to the rules of probability theory, Bayes' theorem. The two ways in which information can flow within a Bayesian network are predictive propagation, where information follows the arrows and knowledge about parent nodes changes the probability distributions of their children, and retrospective propagation, where information flows in a direction opposite to the arrows, and children update the probability distributions of their parents. Here's the mathematical definition. The probability is equal to pi of 1 to n probability of x of I given that the parents of x of I have occurred. And here's the solution development. And these are several parameters of the model. And some of these parameters have been used in the actual model that I have prepared. These include social infrastructure reliance, physical infrastructure reliance, building infrastructure resilience, recovery factors, as well as other factors. And this is the design of the Bayesian network that I have created. Although these don't include all the factors, these include a lot of the factors which I have connected using the arrows. For example, resilience is based on recovery as well as reliability, and recovery is based on personal factors as well as external factors. And personal factors are based on the education and the income you receive, and the external factors are the crops destroyed, the schools affected, the electric supply disruptions, as well as the approachability, the water supply disruptions, hospitals affected, and houses damaged. And we can see that the houses damaged are also dependent on the type of house, which in turn is dependent on the income of the person. And reliability is dependent on the access to hospitals, schools, clean water, and electricity, which are already there even before the disaster takes place, as this is a viable indicator of the reliability. Next is the data sources which I have collected. I also have a separate Excel file. So could I please show the Excel?
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I can't seem to present the Excel file, sir.
You can send it to me later if you want.
Okay, sir.
Okay, that's fine, Siddharth. Let me ask you a couple of questions on this.
Yes, sir.
So, will the arrows contain the probability, sort of the from one node to another node?
Yes, sir.
So, how would you calculate those probabilities?
Sir, I have actually got the data here, sir. I will show that. Um, Sir, these are the calculation of the probability, sir. Sir, I have graded these based on a high, medium, low index. Sir, can you see?
Yeah, I can see it.
So basically, so all these factors have been
How
taken in
can
the
the
Excel.
probability be 2?
Sir, no, sir. These are the rankings, sir.
the rankings.
So the probabilities need to like be taken in much more details, and they have to take a lot of field surveys and such to actually identify the true extent of the probabilities. So I've just like ideally given the idea, so we can like calculate roughly that the first rank is like 80%, the second rank is 50%, and the third rank is 25%, like that. But I have given it a ranking system. So since there are 14 districts in Kerala, we have given a 5-5-4 system with like the first with like the rank 1 going to 5, rank 2 going to 5, and rank 3 going to 4. The detailed probabilities need to be like, for the detailed probabilities to be prepared, we need a much more comprehensive field surveys to see what all has been recovered back, whether the schools are functioning properly and such.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Siddharth. That's very nice. Uh, Very well done. All right. Let's hear from Nijer Sarkar.
Good evening, sir. I'm sharing my screen.
Sure. You can introduce yourself first.
Sir, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
So thank you, sir, for giving me this opportunity to present my presentation. So I'm Nijer Sarkar, and I study in class 9 of DAV Public School, Haldia. So my research project for this Bose Olympiad is about Ptolemy's theorem. I would actually like to see like how I actually came across the Ptolemy's theorem. So from my childhood, I was actually very much fascinated by geometry. I felt that geometry was more relatable in real life rather than any other number theory or any algebraic concepts. It happened a couple of months ago. I was trying to solve some AMC problems when I came across one of these theorems called Ptolemy's theorem. First, let us see the history of its creator. So, Ptolemy's theorem was discovered by Ptolemy. So, in Euclidean geometry, Ptolemy's theorem is a relation between the four sides and the two diagonals of a cyclic quadrilateral. This theorem is named after the Greek astronomer and mathematician Ptolemy. So, Ptolemy was not only a great mathematician, he was also a very good astronomer. And it's not completely known when he was born. So it was somewhere around 100 CE, and he died about 170 CE. So his nationality was from Egypt, and he had some Greek descent. So let us come to our topic now. So at first, I would like to present a question where we can find the application of Ptolemy's theorem. So this is from the 2004 AMC 10B problem 24. We'll come back to this later on. At first, let us see what is the theorem all about. So our introduction. So the statement is, if a quadrilateral
You cannot see the slideshow changing. Something is wrong.
You cannot see it. Just a minute.
So, are you proving the Ptolemy's theorem?
Yes, I will be showing you how I actually proved it. Can you see it now?
But didn't Ptolemy already proved it?
Yeah, he did prove it. I also tried to prove it in some different method, like using similarity.
Okay, okay.
So can you see that screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so the statement is that if a quadrilateral is inscribed in a circle, then the product of the length of its diagonals is equal to the sum of the products of the lengths of pairs of opposite sides. So we have this diagram over here. So from this diagram, we can mathematically say that AC times BD is equal to AB times CD plus BC times AD. So this was the statement, and the converse is also true. The converse statement is that in a quadrilateral, if the sum of the products of the lengths of its two pairs of opposite sides is equal to the product of the length of its diagonals, then the quadrilateral can be a cyclic quadrilateral. Uh, Next, can you see the screen where I'm proving it?
No. Yeah, I can see the screen. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I see the proof, but this has to be a new problem. That's the problem. So, did you find anything interesting about the proof?
I actually didn't find much interesting, like except for the fact that similarity, there's a classic application of similarity. But I have found it fascinating how the Ptolemy's theorem can be used to prove many other uh, formulas and other theorems. Such one of these theorems is the Pythagoras theorem. So I will show it in the next slide. Should I show it now?
Yeah, why don't you show that?
Okay, sir. So can you see me this screen where there's a rectangle present?
No, actually, I think we are still seeing. I think you have to share the entire screen. Then only we can see it.
I see. Okay. Just a minute, I need to stop sharing. Can you see this now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, sir. So in this application of Ptolemy's theorem, so our given cyclic quadrilateral is a rectangle. So suppose ABCD, it's a rectangle with sides A and B, and let us assume that the diagonal side is means the length of the diagonals is D. Then from a statement of Ptolemy's theorem, we can say that the product of diagonals, it's D square, and D square is equal to the sum of the products of opposite sides. That is, D square is equal to AD times DC, that is A square, plus AB times DC, that's B square. So D square is equal to A square plus B square, and this, we can see this is the Pythagoras theorem. Now, suppose we consider another special case, that is, if the given quadrilateral it's a square, that means that A is equal to B. Then we can see that D square is gonna be A square plus A square. So that means D square equal to 2A square. From here we can see D equal to A root 2. So that means means this is another formula where the length of the diagonal in a square, it is equal to root 2 times the side of the square.
Okay.
Uh, okay. So
Okay.
next, from the Ptolemy's theorem, we can also find an expression of the golden ratio. So I've tried to prove the golden means that expression here.
Okay.
So
Okay. Okay. You
in
don't have to read the entire thing. That's fine.
yeah, okay, sir.
I see. Using a pentagon. Okay. Okay. Very nice.
Shall I proceed?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, I think this is good. This is good. Thank you, Nijer. I would
Okay, sir.
want you to. I would want you to find something original as well. So think like a new application of Ptolemy's theorem. Okay,
Okay, sir.
if you can find it. Okay, very nice. All
Thank you
right,
so much.
thank you, Aryan Das. Go ahead, or maybe Arav Pinjani. Maybe Arav Pinjani.
Yes, so I'm ready, so.
You have to switch on the video.
Yes, sir. 1 second.
I still can't see you, Arav. Something is wrong. Okay, now I can.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody. This is Araf Panjani from the intermediate level. Today, I'm going to tell you all about period triangles. So, what are period triangles? Period triangles are
You're
an
in which
interesting.
class, Arav? Sorry, you're in which class?
So, I'm in sixth.
Sixth grade. Okay, please continue.
So, what are period triangles? Period triangles are an interesting topic of geometry. A period triangle is created by the intersections of perpendicular lines from a point, which is called the period point, in the plane to the sides of a given triangle. Or we can say that the period triangle has vertices that are the feet of the perpendiculars from the period point to the to each of the sides of the original triangle. How to construct a period triangle? Let triangle ABC be any triangle. If P is any point in the plane, here outside the triangle, and if we construct perpendiculars to the sides of the triangle ABC, extended if necessary, we locate points R, S, and T as the intersections of the sides and the respective perpendiculars. Then triangle RST is the pedal triangle for pedal point P. As one can expect, according to the point P, the triangle can be inside or outside the triangle ABC. Sometimes it can also be a degenerate triangle. Let's try to investigate some of the properties of pedal triangles according to the pedal point. What if pedal point P is the centroid of triangle ABC? As we know, the centroid of triangle ABC is the intersection point of its medians. Here in the figure, the blue dotted lines are the medians. If we draw perpendiculars to the sides of the triangle from ABC from point P, the centroid, and connect the feet, we get the pedal triangle GHI. What if P is the incenter? As we know, incenter I of triangle ABC is the intersection point of its angle bisectors. When P is the center of triangle ABC, the incircle of ABC is also the circumcircle of the pedal triangle with pedal point P. In the figure, we can see that the red circle is the incircle for the triangle ABC and also the circumcircle for the triangle RST. In other words, the incenter I of triangle ABC is the circumcenter of the pedal triangle RST. What if P is any point on the incircle? When P is on the incircle of the triangle ABC, then the loci of the vertices of the pedal triangles are segments having length equal to the diameter of the incircle. In fact, the segments are projections of the circle to the three sides of the triangle, as we can see in the figure. What if P is the orthocenter? As we know, the orthocenter of a triangle is the point of intersection of the altitudes of a triangle. Depending on the type of triangle, acute, obtuse, or right angled, the orthocenter can be inside, outside, or on the triangle. A. When the orthocenter H of triangle ABC is inside the triangle. In this case the pedal triangle RST is the orthic triangle of ABC, as we can see in the figure. When orthocenter H of the triangle ABC is outside the triangle. In this case, two vertices of pedal triangle RST are outside the triangle. What if P is the circumcenter? The circumcenter of a triangle is the point of intersection of perpendicular bisectors of the sides of a triangle. It is also the center of the circumcircle of the triangle. When P is the circumcenter C of a triangle ABC. The feet of period triangles are the midpoints of the of the triangle. And so the period triangle is a medial triangle in this case. What if P is any point on the circumcircle? An interesting observation for a parallel triangle is when the period point P is on the circumcircle of a triangle ABC. If it is the case, the period triangle is a degenerate triangle, as we can see in the figure. In other words, it is just a line segment, which is called the Simpson line. In the given figure, RST is the Simpson line. Some interesting properties of Simpson lines. Since there are infinitely many points on the circle of a triangle, there are infinitely many Simpson lines of the triangle. If you observe the behavior of two Simpson lines, they may intersect, but there are some interesting observations too. Deltoid, a fascinating shape. A very interesting observation is that when we move the pedal point here, M, along the circumference of the circumcircle, the Simpson line here, PQR, also moves and envelopes a, and creates a very beautiful symmetric structure which looks like a curved triangle and is called the deltoid.
Okay, very nice, Arav. Very nice. I would stop you here because we are out of time. So, did you think of any original question about this topic?
Sir, actually, when I researched about this topic, I found it very interesting, and I thought that everybody should at least have a brief idea about the topic.
Okay, okay.
It's
So,
very fascinating.
okay, okay, very nice. Let me go to Aryan Das now. Aryan, go ahead. You can stop sharing. Uh,
Good evening, sir.
yes, good evening.
So, sir, I am Aryan Das from class 8, studying in the Assembly of God Church School, Haldia. So today I am going to present on the time management problem. What time is exactly is, and how can we solve the means of the world famous problem of managing it using mathematics and computer coding. So, sir, I am trying to present my screen. Can you see my screen, sir?
You're in class 8 now?
Yes, sir. Sir, can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you, sir. Just a second. Yes, sir. Okay, sir. So, welcome everyone. I'm Aryan Das from class 8, and I'm honored to have you with my presentation today. So, before moving on, so I want to give you a brief intro that why I chose this particular problem instead of choosing another problem. So, before I went back in time of my life and realized that time management is a problem which I faced in my life also. Like I was endorsed into math Olympiad and stuff for from very young age, like class 5 to 6, and so I did not have so much time for school studies, and so my teacher used to scold me for not being able to do the homework they used to give me. So now I realize had I been more patient and given some time to managing my time, I would have not got the scolding. So I researched and found that this is a problem of millions of other people. So so today I will be showing you that how can we solve this problem and what exactly is this problem. So can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can.
Thank you. So as we all know, like mathematics is all about observing and solving the mysteries and patterns of nature. Using this beautiful language of God, we can solve beautiful real life problems. One such problem is time management. So time is one of the scarcest and the most important resource available to us till now. Just imagine, like you have 24 hours in a day, 365 days in a year, and an average of 80 human years, but still time is very scarce for you. So this is time means irony. Like everything will be seeming counterintuitive. Like for example, what if you want to know what exactly time is? Time according to dictionaries and the internet is a period of progression from the past to the present into the future. But I view time as one of the most important resources. Time is so important that many people consider time to be money. So what I think that what is time management? As I told, that time is the scarcest resource available to mankind. Time management is a huge problem that students feel pressurized due to their bad routine and time management. Like as I gave my example, I used to feel pressurized for doing the maths Olympiad, science Olympiad work, and also focus on school work. Had I managed my time, I would have not felt this pressure. Like even adults feel the same way. My uncle's friend earns about 10,000 hours per rupees, 10,000 rupees per hour, what he said. And whenever he talks with my uncle, he tells that he feels that if he had not wasted that 10 minutes talking with him, he could have made more 1,000 rupees. And this way, this feeling separates you from everyone. And this is a very big problem if you consider time to be money. Also, like this is a very nice example. I hope you have heard this thing that excuse when students are like why when teachers are like, why didn't you do your homework? And this is the result. Like there are 365 days a year, and in a year 50 after removing 52 Sundays and so on, like this. So but if you take a root, this is the problem is time management. So before going further, I want to clear two things, that there are two types of time management problem. The first is a daily routine problem. Like what the daily routine problem deals with the problems which you face in your day-to-day life. For example, what will I do today? What will I do tomorrow? And so on. And the time limit problem, like in these problems, what you do is that you just sort it out. Like you have I got to make this presentation, means the time I got to make this presentation was 2 weeks. So that was type of a time limit problem, that I have a limit to make this presentation. So I will be explaining these about these two problems, but I will be providing a general solution for the type 2 problems, because type 2 problems have more generalized mathematical solution than type 1 problems. Also, I want to make something very clear, that before jumping onto the solution, we need to fulfill this 4 criteria: that you are ready to control your time. You must be able to take charge of your time, what means you must be able to understand the situation properly and control your time the way you want it to be. You need to stop procrastinating. You can procrastinate only if the work is not important to you, or if the submission time is very late. Realize how much time you have. So this is the most important problem that everyone faces, that they don't realize how much time they have. They either overestimate in case they procrastinate, or they underestimate in which case they hurry up and make the work very bad.
Yeah, we are almost running out of time. So, can you
Yes.
tell me the actual solution you are proposing? You said there is some coding involved.
Yes, sir. So yeah, so I made the coding using C++, and which is the best one of the best language. So this is my coding solution. So will I share my screen? Yeah. So can you see the thing?
Yeah, I can see that thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is my solution. For example, I sent you the code. So I also explained it in a video which I created. So I'm just showing you by running it here.
Okay.
So for example, hmm, so one second. It's actually not coming. Yeah. Boom. Yeah. So suppose today we have today I got a work. So we need to import the start date, that is 6th, the start month, that is January 1st, and start year, that is 2023. And I have to submit the work on 15th of February. So that means 15th to 2023.
Now we need to import the current time that when you are wishing to start the solution in 24-hour format. So that means it will be 20 to 30 if you convert to a 10:30 to 22-hour format. And you need to take the submission time that is 23:59, means 11:59 on 15 February. Now you need to you import the number of works you need to do. So suppose I have to do 5 works in this period. Then this solution, this program will help me realize how much time you have. But it also implements a break function. Like if you apply this much, so for each work, you will also get that you will have time for breaks. Like breaks are very important
Right.
for for doing any work properly. So what I did in my solution is I made sure that after implementing all these, you know how much break you get. That is this function right here, break function that I explained in my solution, sir. And also after this, what questions I want and what is the further research is that I want to know that as you know, that time is relative. For example, if you are given a maths work and a history work to do, and you are very good in math but not so good in history, you will obviously feel that the time you got for maths work was very more than the time you got for history work. So everything is relative, and so there is not a strategy for a timetable or a time
We are out
management.
of time. Thank you, Arnav, Aryan, for that.
Yes,
Very
sir.
nice. I hope you make a more robust program for maybe using some interface like maybe in Angular or something where people can use it as a time management tool. That could be a good idea. But again, the research problem should have been a little bit closer to mathematics, but I understand that there were computations involved, so that is nice. Okay, thank you, Aryan. You can stop sharing the screen.
Thank you,
And
sir.
thank you everyone who have joined the research seminars online. And this was the Bose Olympiad um, research round, and many students have participated in it. In 2023, we will be also starting with the next round of Bose Olympiad, so you can go to chinta.com for more details about that. Thank you. Good night.